Greetings everyone, welcome back to Cinema Prescriptions, where we dive deep into a film and prescribe you all that you need to enjoy the film. I'm your host, Mr. Dr. Rice, and today we will be going over Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Alright, this one was directed by James Wan. He directed the original Saw film, Insidious Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. He directed The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2. He directed the original Aquaman film, and also he directed a film called Malignant. So he's pretty much a horror director. I see that as a very common thing that I see. So I see a trend where horror directors also direct a lot of superhero films. You see Zack Snyder, he directed Dawn of the Dead. You see David Sandberg, he directed Lights Out first, and then he went on to direct Shazam. So this is a common trope I've been noticing throughout the years. James Wan's a pretty good director. He's not afraid to take risks. I mean, look at Malignant. That movie was crazy. If you've seen it, I don't want to spoil it for you, but that one's pretty good. He's known for making big franchises, like he made The Conjuring, he made the Saw franchise. He began the Saw franchise, so he's known for doing things like that. So he's very competent. He directed the original Aquaman movie. I didn't hate it, but I mean, it went on to make over $1 billion, so he was doing something right with that film. So the question is, can he capture the same audience that he did for Aquaman 1, for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom? Synopsis for this film is: after failing to defeat Aquaman the first time, Black Manta wields the power of the mystic Black Trident to unleash an ancient and malevolent force. Hoping to end his reign of terror, Aquaman forges an unlikely alliance with his brother, Orm. Setting aside their differences, they join forces to protect their kingdom and save the world from irreversible destruction. So based on this synopsis, it's pretty detailed. So you get it's the classic trope of allying with your former enemy to fight a greater enemy. So that sounds like an interesting synopsis for me. A good comparison film for this one was Thor Ragnarok. I felt like they touched on two of the same subjects. So like Thor teaming up with Loki, who he formerly was enemies with, to fight Hela, who's a bigger threat than Loki is at this point. It's kind of like the same concept that you get from Aquaman. It's the same concept that you get from Aquaman teaming up with his brother Orm to fight Black Manta, who's become very powerful because of the Black Trident. Also, they have similar tones. You have the seriousness mixed with the comedy. So these two films are very similar in my opinion. The budget for this film was between $205 million and $215 million. This is not too far from the originals, which was between $160 million to $200 million. I mean, this is a huge DC property that they have now. The previous film made over $1 billion, so of course this film will have a very big budget. Superhero movies cost a lot of money these days, so they always cost around at least $120 million to $150 million. Do I feel like they used their budget appropriately? I mean, this film is a very visual film. I mean, they're shooting a film about an underwater kingdom. I mean, that can be very difficult to make, and it has a lot of people in it. It takes a lot of CGI. I know it probably costs a lot for them to have a lot of safety measures, because some of the film was shot like in big bodies of water, like huge pools and stuff like that. I feel like the CG was good. I mean, I saw a lot of cool things going on in the film. I mean, you have huge actors names such as Jason Momoa, you have Amber Heard in it, you also have Patrick Wilson, and you also have Yahya Abdul-Mateen II in it, and he's becoming pretty big for himself also. So, I mean, this film definitely looks like a $200 million film. No complaints there. What makes this film easy to love? I would say the spectacle of the film. You get to see Atlantis. I mean, it's not too many places you can get this underwater action from. Where else can you see huge giant crabs walking around fighting each other? Aquaman riding on a seahorse. It's just like a lot of attention to detail, like Black Manta's submarine. It just fully dedicates itself to the underwater lifestyle, and that's very enjoyable about the film. Black Manta is an amazing villain. I feel like he's stronger, he's more motivated. He's angry at Aquaman for the death of his father, so he's kicking his butt and stuff like that. He's kicking his butt. Mr. Mattee's performance definitely propelled that villain. I definitely felt like he grew a lot since the last film. I also like the music in this film. It's like some weird techno type, energized, and it definitely like added to like the action and like the atmosphere of the film. So I felt like all the music meshed well with the movie. What makes it hard to love? I felt that although the underwater effects were good, it still felt kind of off-putting that the way, I don't know, I felt like they didn't incorporate them being underwater, if you know what I mean. I know like they're underwater, they're supposed to be able to speak to each other without like a air bubble like they had in Justice League, but I felt like having them, I felt like the first film captured it better than this film, and that being them talking underwater. Another thing that could be off-putting is that the film is definitely by the numbers, so you know each plot point that it's gonna hit from the beginning. You know that it's a team up with one of your old enemies to defeat a more stronger, formidable foe. This is gonna be more of a redeeming story for the antagonist of a previous film. The last thing that could be off-putting about this film is that it was so much comedy that I just felt like the comedy was rushed and it wasn't necessary most of the time, and it just felt like it was just too many jokes. And I feel like the tone of this film required it to be more serious than it actually was portrayed. And also, you don't really feel like the world is about to end, like if you don't stop the bad guy, the world's gonna end type of film. And it didn't feel like that because of all the jokes, and you really don't see the effects of the film on the outside world most of the time. So Mr. Dr. Rice's prescription for this film, what makes it easy to love, is that the spectacle of the film is awesome. Black Manta is a great villain, and the music is very engaging. What can make it hard to love is that the underwater effects are sometimes off-putting. It's a by-the-numbers film, and there's way too much comedy for the tone that's needed, in my opinion. So thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time, and peace out.